For years, the Brown family has lived their lives in the public eye, navigating love, loyalty, and complicated family dynamics. The center of it all is Coyote Pass, a piece of land that once represented hope, dreams, and a shared vision for the sister wives' family. But in Season 20, Episode 9, that dream begins to unravel. What was meant to be a symbol of unity has become a battleground of emotions, mistrust, and unfinished business. Kody, Janelle, Meri, and Robyn converge at the property, not just to handle a real estate transaction, but to confront decades of secrets, disappointments, and fractured relationships. This episode is more than a standoff over land. It is a reckoning, the end of an era, and the moment when the Brown family must face the reality of their choices. This is the story of the Coyote Pass standoff. As the morning sun rises over the arid landscape of Coyote Pass, the Brown family slowly converges on the property. Cars pull onto the dusty driveway, one after another, each vehicle carrying not just a person but a weight of history, expectation, and unresolved emotion. Kody Brown arrives first, stepping out with a measured calm that masks the tension beneath. Every step he takes toward the center of the land reflects years of complex relationships, love, disappointment, loyalty, and betrayal all intertwined in the story of this family. Quiet of the early morning is almost surreal, but the air is thick with anticipation. There is an unspoken understanding that today nothing will proceed easily, and no one can predict how long the standoff will last. Shortly after, Janelle Brown's car comes into view. She moves deliberately, her expression a mixture of resolve and quiet anger. For her, Coyote Pass represents more than just property. It is a symbol of past frustrations, broken promises, and the closure she has been quietly seeking for years. She pauses for a moment at the edge of the driveway, seemingly measuring the distance not just in steps but in decades of history. Her journey to this moment has been long and complicated. Every choice she has made, every concession she has granted, and every argument she has endured leads her here, standing at the threshold of what she hopes will be an ending on her own terms. Meri Brown's arrival adds another layer of tension. Known for her quiet but steadfast demeanor, Meri approaches with careful precision. She carries with her the weight of past disappointments, the sting of being overlooked, and the resilience to assert her place in this complicated family dynamic. Today, Meri is more than just a participant in a property transaction. She is a guardian of her own boundaries, a woman who has learned the hard way that trust must be earned and respect must be demanded. Every glance toward Kody reflects both history and warning. She is not here to negotiate sentiment. She is here to ensure fairness, and she will not be rushed or sidelined. Finally, Robyn Brown arrives. Her steps are deliberate, but there is a tension in her posture that mirrors the complex web of alliances and conflicts she navigates within this family. For Robyn, Coyote Pass represents an opportunity to protect her own stake and the future of her children, but it also carries the emotional burden of being the last wife to join a family that has already weathered decades of drama and heartache. She understands the fragile balance that exists between her and the other women, between her and Kody, and between the past and what might remain of the family's shared dreams. Once all four have arrived, an uneasy silence settles over the property. No one immediately leaves their vehicles. Instead, the cars form an unspoken barricade, a physical representation of the emotional walls each person has built over the years. The standoff is not just about the land. It is a manifestation of years of unresolved tension, disappointment, and fractured trust. As the wind moves through the desert, carrying dust across the empty land, it seems to echo the unspoken words that hang heavily between the family members. Every movement is deliberate, every glance calculated, every pause filled with the possibility of confrontation. In this charged atmosphere, Kody takes the first steps toward negotiation. His approach is careful, almost tentative, as though he understands the volatility of the situation and the fragility of relationships that have been stretched thin over decades. He attempts to bridge the gap, to find a pathway that might allow for resolution. But the emotional terrain he faces is treacherous. Janelle's refusal to compromise on her boundaries, Meri's insistence on fairness and legal clarity, and Robyn's careful watch over both her children's and her own future make any simple resolution impossible. Each person is here not just to participate in a transaction, but to assert their value, their autonomy, and their right to closure. The tension reaches its peak as the sun climbs higher in the sky. The silence between the vehicles is punctuated only by the occasional shifting of feet or the closing of a car door. Every unspoken glance carries the weight of years of heartbreak, hope, and complicated love. This is a family bound not just by legal ties or shared history, but by deep emotional entanglements that cannot be easily undone. Coyote Pass is no longer just land. It has become a stage for the ultimate test of patience, endurance, and the fragile possibility of reconciliation. As the minutes stretch into what feels like hours, it becomes clear that this standoff is about more than property. It is about legacy, trust, and the reckoning of a lifetime. Each family member faces their own internal struggle, wrestling with the past, the present, and what they hope to carry into the future. And in that moment, standing amidst the dust, the sun, and the weight of history, it is evident that this is not just a confrontation over land, but a turning point in the story of the sister wives family, a moment that will be remembered not for the outcome of the sale, but for the raw, unfiltered emotion that defines the bonds and fractures of this extraordinary family. As the standoff continues on the dusty expanse of Coyote Pass, attention inevitably shifts to the legal and emotional heart of the conflict, the deed to the land. What on the surface appears to be a simple transaction, the sale of a property, is in truth a complicated tangle of past promises, unspoken grievances, and long-held resentments. The center of this dispute is Meri Brown's name on the deed, a seemingly small detail with enormous ramifications. For Kody, the paperwork represents an opportunity to finally resolve a long-standing financial and familial complication. But for Meri, it symbolizes acknowledgement, fairness, and the validation of years of overlooked contributions. And for Janelle, the issue is less about legalities and more about respect, closure, and the emotional toll of being sidelined in a family where her voice has too often been drowned out. Janelle's connection to Coyote Pass runs deeper than mere ownership. She has lived through the highs and lows of this land, the early dreams of a shared future, the arguments over planning and construction, and the subtle betrayals that accumulated over decades. Every corner of the property carries memory, moments of hope, late-night conversations about family vision, and the quiet disappointment of promises that were never fully kept. Standing on the land now, Janelle is not merely assessing a financial stake. She is confronting a lifetime of experiences, weighing her past against the possibility of a future free from the burdens of compromise and unfulfilled expectations. Meri's presence adds another layer of complexity. Calm yet firm, she approaches the deed dispute with a sense of principled determination. She is keenly aware that this is not just a matter of signing papers, but a matter of ensuring that her contributions to the family are recognized and respected. Meri's insistence on clarity, fairness, and proper legal procedure reflects the resilience she has built over years of being marginalized within the family structure. Every exchange, every subtle negotiation, is an assertion of her autonomy, and a reminder that the Browns' shared history has not erased the need for personal boundaries. Kody, navigating the tense dynamic between the women, finds himself at the center of the storm. His attempts to mediate are often complicated by the weight of his own history, past missteps, misunderstandings, and the emotional fallout of decisions made decades ago. He speaks carefully, balancing between conciliatory gestures and practical necessities, but the air is thick with suspicion. Every word, every movement is scrutinized, and the stakes extend far beyond the land itself. This moment is as much about emotional closure as it is about financial resolution, and the tension is palpable in the hot desert air. As the discussion intensifies, the camera of the mind's eye captures more than just words. It captures the unspoken struggles of each family member. Janelle's gaze lingers on Kody, reflecting both disappointment and a quiet determination. She is done with compromises that leave her feeling invisible, done with promises that never materialized, and done with the lingering weight of resentment that has shadowed her for years. Every detail of the deed becomes a metaphor for her struggle. The lines of the contract symbolize the boundaries she is finally asserting, and the signatures become a reflection of the acknowledgement she has long sought but rarely received. Robyn, watching the unfolding dispute, is acutely aware of the emotional layers beneath the surface. Her own frustrations are intertwined with concerns for her children, and her desire to maintain stability within a family that has rarely known calm. She moves carefully, aware that every step, every phrase, and every decision will ripple across the lives of those around her. The land is not just a property. It is a battleground where trust, loyalty, and respect are negotiated in real time, and where the smallest misstep can reignite decades of unresolved tension. The negotiation over the deed is punctuated by moments of silent reflection. The desert wind whispers through the trees, carrying dust across the property as if nature itself acknowledges the gravity of the moment. Each participant is aware that today is not only about the present, but about the past that has led them here and the future they hope to shape. The standoff at Coyote Pass becomes a crucible in which long-standing grievances are tested, boundaries are asserted, and the possibility of reconciliation hangs in the balance. The land, with all its history and symbolism, has transformed into a stage for both confrontation and introspection. By the time the discussions draw to a pause, it becomes evident that the deed dispute has transcended legalities. It is now a lens through which the emotional stakes of the sister wives' family are magnified. Janelle stands firm, her resolve a testament to years of endurance and self-advocacy. Meri asserts her rightful place, refusing to be minimized or overlooked. Robyn navigates her path with care, and Kody faces the weight of decisions past and present. Each of them leaves an imprint on Coyote Pass that extends far beyond signatures on paper. They leave traces of emotion, memory, and the enduring complexity of family life in the public eye. In this intense and deeply human moment, it becomes clear that the resolution of the deed is only part of the story. The true narrative lies in the confrontation of long-simmering emotions, the assertion of personal boundaries, and the quiet victories of dignity and respect. The land may eventually be sold, but the lessons of this encounter, about love, loyalty, fairness, and the courage to stand firm, will linger far longer, shaping the Brown family and their legacy in ways that extend well beyond the borders of Coyote Pass. Amidst the dust and tension of Coyote Pass, Robyn Brown moves through the scene with a quiet determination. While the disputes over the deed dominate the attention of Kody, Janelle, and Meri, Robyn carries a different burden, one that is both deeply personal and profoundly connected to her children. For Robyn, this episode is not merely about the land or the legalities of property ownership. It is about legacy, faith, and the spiritual well-being of her family in a world where the Browns' communal vision has long since fractured. Robyn's frustration is palpable. She is caught between the unresolved tensions of the past and the responsibility of guiding her daughters toward a sense of stability and security. The standoff at Coyote Pass represents for her the culmination of years of navigating a family dynamic that often feels chaotic, unpredictable, and deeply unfair. Each glance at the other women is a reminder of the delicate balance she must maintain, of the careful choreography required to protect both herself and her children while still engaging with a family structure that has never been straightforward. As the discussion unfolds, Robyn's attention intermittently shifts from the immediate conflict over land to her larger concerns about faith and community. She is actively searching for new pastoral guidance for her daughters, a pursuit that speaks to her desire to provide them with stability and spiritual grounding. This is not a casual decision. It is a deliberate act of care and foresight, rooted in years of understanding how intertwined faith, family, and personal identity can be. In a family where relationships are often dictated by hierarchy and history, Robyn's spiritual search represents a conscious effort to redefine her own path and to carve out a sense of normalcy and certainty for her children. The standoff, with all its tension and unspoken emotion, serves as a backdrop to Robyn's inner struggle. She is simultaneously engaged in the negotiations over the deed, aware of Kody's attempts at mediation, and navigating the subtle power dynamics between herself and the other women. Yet her mind frequently returns to the bigger picture, how to ensure that her daughters inherit not just property or material stability, but also a sense of spiritual and emotional grounding. Every decision she makes in this moment is informed by the intersection of past disappointments and future responsibilities, creating a careful balance between pragmatism and principle. Robyn's frustration is compounded by the realization that the standoff is emblematic of deeper issues within the family. It is not merely the sale of Coyote Pass that has brought them here, but decades of miscommunication, mismanagement, and emotional imbalance. She recognizes that the property is a symbol, a tangible representation of what the Browns once hoped to achieve collectively, a vision that has, over time, splintered into individual pursuits, grievances, and unfulfilled promises. For Robyn, every word spoken, every pause in the conversation, and every decision about how to move forward carries the weight of not just legal or financial consequences, but moral and spiritual significance. Yet within this tension, Robyn also demonstrates remarkable clarity and resolve. Unlike others who may be consumed by emotion, she approaches the situation with a dual focus, protecting her children and asserting her own boundaries. She listens attentively, weighs her options carefully, and ensures that her decisions are guided by both principle and practicality. In doing so, she models a form of leadership that is subtle but powerful, one that prioritizes long-term stability over short-term gratification or emotional reactivity. As the day progresses, the audience can see the quiet determination etched on Robyn's face. Her gaze moves across the expanse of Coyote Pass, a land that has been a source of family dreams and discord alike. She contemplates the past, but her attention remains firmly rooted in the future, a future in which she can foster spiritual growth and emotional resilience for her daughters, while navigating the challenges posed by her unique position within the Brown family. In many ways, her presence at the standoff is not just a participation in a family conflict, but a conscious act of self-preservation and maternal advocacy. The spiritual dimension of Robyn's journey adds an additional layer of complexity to the episode. Her pursuit of new pastoral guidance is a testament to her foresight and her desire to instill values that transcend the often turbulent dynamics of her family. It is a search for meaning and stability in the midst of chaos, a reminder that faith and principle can provide a grounding force even when legal disputes and emotional tensions threaten to overwhelm. Robyn's navigation of this terrain underscores a larger truth, that personal integrity, spiritual purpose, and the protection of one's family are inseparable in her understanding of responsibility and legacy. By the end of the day, it becomes evident that Robyn's frustration and spiritual search are not isolated concerns, but central to the narrative of the Coyote Pass standoff. While the other family members are entangled in legalities and emotional confrontations, Robyn's focus on her children and their spiritual future provides a lens through which the audience can view the deeper implications of the Brown struggles. Her presence, calm but resolute, reminds us that amidst conflict, there are individuals who carry the responsibility of forging paths forward, maintaining principles, and safeguarding the next generation. In this intricate and emotionally charged landscape, Robyn Brown stands as a figure of quiet strength, balancing the weight of familial discord with the pursuit of spiritual and emotional stability. The standoff at Coyote Pass, while dramatic and tension-filled on the surface, is also a stage for her resilience, foresight, and commitment to her children's well-being. Her story within this episode is a reminder that, even in the midst of chaos, purpose, faith, and determination can guide a family member toward a future defined not by conflict, but by careful, intentional action. Amid the tense standoff at Coyote Pass, Kody Brown finds himself confronting not only the logistical challenges of property and legal disputes, but also the emotional weight of decades of fractured relationships. For Kody, the episode is a crucible, a moment in which the consequences of past decisions, miscommunications, and family fractures come sharply into focus. The land, once a symbol of shared dreams and unity, has become a mirror reflecting the complexities of his relationships with each of his wives and the emotional distance that has developed over time. As he moves between conversations and silent moments of reflection, it becomes clear that Kody is driven by a desire for healing, not just for himself, but for the family he has spent decades building, and at times fracturing, in equal measure. He is aware of the strain his decisions have placed on Janelle, Meri, Robyn, and their children, and the Coyote Pass standoff serves as a stark reminder of the emotional consequences that accompany the pursuit of personal and collective dreams. In many ways, this episode is not just about land or deeds. It is about the human need for reconciliation, understanding, and the restoration of broken bonds. Kody's approach is careful, reflective, and tinged with the self-awareness of someone who has seen the long-term fallout of his choices. He recognizes the mistrust that lingers between himself and the women, as well as the subtle alliances, grievances, and unspoken expectations that complicate even the simplest interactions. his attempts to speak calmly, to mediate tensions, and to assert a path forward are efforts to create space for dialogue, but the emotional terrain is treacherous. Every gesture is measured, every word considered, and every pause carries the weight of potential misinterpretation. Throughout the standoff, Kody reflects on the patterns that have defined his family life. Patterns of conflict and compromise, loyalty and disappointment, love and estrangement. He recognizes that the property dispute is both literal and symbolic, representing the challenges of navigating a family structure that is unconventional, deeply interconnected, and fraught with emotional complexity. In seeking healing, Kody is not simply attempting to resolve a present conflict. He is confronting the accumulation of years of tension, trying to bridge gaps that have long seemed insurmountable. Kody's desire for healing is also intertwined with his understanding of responsibility. He acknowledges that as the patriarch of a family with multiple households, his actions resonate across relationships and generations. His attempts at mediation are driven not by a desire for control, but by an awareness that the emotional well-being of his wives and children is intricately linked to his own ability to listen, acknowledge past mistakes, and create opportunities for reconciliation. The standoff at Coyote Pass becomes, in this light, not just a test of legal and logistical skill, but of emotional intelligence and relational endurance. As Kody engages with each wife, his expressions and words reflect the complexity of the situation. With Janelle, he is aware of her firm boundaries and her need for closure. With Meri, he is conscious of her insistence on fairness and recognition. With Robyn, he acknowledges her protective instincts for her children and her spiritual aspirations. Each interaction is an exercise in balancing empathy with practicality, history with present realities, and personal desire with familial obligation. Kody's approach is deliberate, demonstrating an understanding that true healing cannot be rushed or coerced, but must be earned through patience, consistency, and genuine acknowledgement of past hurts. Beyond the immediate interactions, Kody also contemplates the larger implications of reconciliation. He understands that the Brown family's story has been broadcast to the world, that every choice carries public scrutiny, and that the emotional stakes are heightened by the visibility of their lives. Yet, even within this lens of public observation, Kody's desire for healing remains deeply personal. It is about restoring trust, fostering understanding, and creating a sense of closure for relationships that have been tested over decades. It is about attempting to salvage not only his own legacy but the emotional legacy of the family he helped build. By the end of the day, Kody's efforts reflect both hope and realism. He hopes that dialogue, patience, and acknowledgement of past mistakes can pave the way for healing, but he is also aware that some wounds may remain unresolved, and that reconciliation is a gradual, ongoing process rather than an immediate resolution. The standoff at Coyote Pass becomes a moment of introspection and accountability, highlighting the delicate interplay between family dynamics, personal responsibility, and the pursuit of emotional restoration. In this episode, Kody Brown's desire for healing is not portrayed as a simple wish, but as an active, complex engagement with the consequences of a life lived in the intertwined spheres of love, loyalty, and public scrutiny. His journey through the standoff is a testament to the challenges of leading, negotiating, and caring in a family structure that defies conventional norms. Ultimately, the scene at Coyote Pass is as much about Kody's personal reckoning as it is about the resolution of property disputes, reminding us that at the heart of every conflict lies a human story, full of hope, regret, and the enduring need for connection. As the sun begins its descent over the rugged landscape of Coyote Pass, the tension of the day slowly begins to shift from immediate confrontation to reflection. The standoff, with its tightly wound emotions and careful negotiations, has begun to reveal deeper truths about the Brown family, about relationships stretched across decades, and about the unspoken weight carried by each individual present on the land. Coyote Pass is no longer just a plot of dirt and rock. It has become a symbol, a mirror reflecting both the fractured bonds and the resilience that define this extraordinary family. For Janelle, Meri, and Robyn, the land represents memories both treasured and painful. Every step across the uneven terrain carries echoes of long-past hopes, disappointments, and dreams that were never fully realized. Coyote Pass is imbued with their collective history, moments of laughter, arguments, shared responsibility, and silent grievances. Standing on the land, each woman is forced to confront not only the reality of the property sale but the emotional legacy intertwined with it. The land has become more than a financial asset. It is a repository of meaning, a tangible reminder of what was shared and what has been lost. For Kody, the symbolism of the property is equally profound. He has long viewed Coyote Pass as a testament to family unity, a physical representation of his vision for the sister-wives household, where relationships could coexist in harmony and dreams could be pursued collectively. Yet today that vision has fractured. The standoff demonstrates that dreams, no matter how passionately held, cannot survive without trust, communication, and mutual respect. Kody's challenge is to reconcile his aspirations with the reality that the family he once imagined is now fragmented, and that closure must be sought in ways that respect both the past and the autonomy of each individual. As the conversations conclude and the women begin to leave their vehicles, a sense of quiet resolution begins to settle over the land. It is not an easy resolution, nor is it complete, but it marks a pivotal moment, the recognition that Coyote Pass, while significant, is not the ultimate measure of family, love, or respect. The physical space may be sold, transferred, or otherwise altered, but the emotional landscapes shaped here are far more enduring. In this sense, the land becomes a metaphor for the journey each family member must undertake. The reconciliation of past grievances, the assertion of personal boundaries, and the pursuit of a life that balances individual needs with familial bonds. The standoff, in its dramatic tension, serves as a lens through which the larger themes of the sister wives narrative are magnified. It is a reminder that family is not simply defined by proximity, marriage contracts, or shared property, but by the emotional and spiritual connections that bind individuals across time and circumstance. Each glance, each gesture, each carefully chosen word carries the weight of decades of shared experience, and the resolution, however partial, is a testament to the enduring human capacity for patience, understanding, and eventual closure. For the women, leaving Coyote Pass is both literal and symbolic. Janelle walks away carrying her dignity, her sense of self, and the quiet satisfaction of having stood firm in her boundaries. Meri departs with acknowledgement of her rightful stake and the reinforcement of her voice within a family that has, at times, marginalized it. Robyn leaves mindful of the spiritual and emotional legacy she wishes to cultivate for her children, determined to guide them with intention, care, and resilience. And Kody, observing the departure of each wife, is faced with the reality of both loss and possibility, the knowledge that while some bonds may never return to their original form, healing and understanding remain achievable, if approached with humility and sincerity. In many ways, the standoff is a microcosm of the Brown family's journey. It encapsulates decades of love, conflict, and compromise distilled into a single emotionally charged day. The sale of the property, while practically significant, becomes secondary to the symbolic lessons it imparts, that closure is earned through honesty and integrity, that boundaries must be respected, and that family, in all its complicated forms, is defined as much by what is preserved as by what is relinquished. Coyote Pass, once a dream of collective harmony, now stands as a testament to both endings and new beginnings. As the day comes to a close and the sun dips below the horizon, the dust settles over Coyote Pass, leaving behind a landscape both familiar and changed. The Browns depart, carrying with them the weight of memories, the hope for reconciliation, and the knowledge that some chapters must end to make way for new stories. The land itself, quiet and still, bears witness to this transformation, a silent observer of conflict, resolution, and the enduring complexity of human relationships. In the end, the symbolism of Coyote Pass is clear. It is not just land that is being sold, but a chapter of life, a collection of dreams, and a period of shared history. The closure achieved here is imperfect, yet meaningful. It reminds us that even amidst drama, conflict, and public scrutiny, moments of reflection, understanding, and emotional honesty are possible. The Coyote Pass standoff may be the end of one era, but it also signals the potential for growth, healing, and the forging of new paths for the Brown family, both individually and collectively. As the sun finally sets over the expansive desert of Coyote Pass, the events of the day leave a lingering sense of reflection. The standoff, charged with emotion, legal intricacies, and decades of familial history, has drawn to a close, but its impact resonates far beyond the boundaries of the property itself. For the Browns, this is more than a story about land. It is a chapter in the ongoing journey of human relationships, fraught with complexity, resilience, and the eternal quest for understanding and closure. In observing the Browns navigate this emotional landscape, one cannot help but recognize the universal truths embedded within their struggles. Janelle, Meri, and Robyn each demonstrate the power of setting boundaries and asserting personal agency, even within the most complicated of family structures. Their presence at Coyote Pass is a testament to strength and self-respect, a reminder that personal dignity and the courage to uphold one's principles are vital components of emotional survival. The land, in its silence and permanence, reflects these lessons back to them, holding space for both confrontation and reflection. Kody, meanwhile, offers a portrait of leadership intertwined with vulnerability. His desire for healing, his careful navigation of decades-long grievances, and his efforts to reconcile competing priorities illustrate the challenges inherent in managing complex familial relationships. He is both the center of the storm and a participant in its turbulence, attempting to balance fairness, empathy, and pragmatism. In his struggle, viewers witness the human reality of accountability, the understanding that past choices reverberate across time and that the pursuit of reconciliation requires both patience and sincerity. The sale of Coyote Pass, while a practical resolution, serves a symbolic function as well. Signifies the end of an era, a closing of a chapter that has long been defined by shared dreams, conflicts, and compromises. Yet within this ending lies the potential for new beginnings. Closure does not erase the past, nor does it instantly heal the wounds of years of miscommunication and unmet expectations, but it does allow for forward movement, for the redefinition of relationships on terms that respect both individuality and shared history. In this sense, the land becomes a metaphor for life itself, a terrain shaped by human aspiration, imperfection, and the enduring search for connection. As the day fades into night, one can reflect on the emotional geography of Coyote Pass, a landscape that mirrors the intricate terrain of the Brown family's heart and history. Each member departs carrying lessons that are both personal and collective. Janelle leaves with a reinforced sense of closure and dignity, a quiet affirmation of her autonomy. Meri carries the recognition of her contributions and a renewed assertion of her voice within a family that has too often overlooked her. Robyn departs mindful of her children's spiritual and emotional well-being, determined to foster stability amidst chaos. And Kody, observing the departures, is left to contemplate the delicate balance between aspiration, accountability, and the pursuit of emotional healing. The broader lesson of this episode lies in its raw depiction of human complexity. The Browns are not perfect, nor are their choices always easy to understand. Yet in their struggles, viewers witness the interplay of love, loyalty, betrayal, hope, and resilience. Each decision, each boundary set, each act of reconciliation is emblematic of the larger human experience. The constant negotiation between personal needs and collective obligations, between forgiveness and self-preservation, and between past mistakes and future possibilities. Coyote Pass, now silent under the fading light, becomes more than a piece of property. Becomes a symbol of endurance, growth, and the sometimes painful but necessary process of transformation. The standoff, though marked by tension and unspoken resentments, ultimately underscores the capacity of human beings to reflect, adapt, and seek understanding even in the most challenging circumstances. It is a story not just about the Browns, but about the universal pursuit of closure, meaning, and reconciliation in the face of complexity and imperfection. As viewers, we are invited to look beyond the surface drama and into the deeper narrative, the lessons of self-assertion, empathy, and reflection that resonate far beyond a single family or a single property dispute. Coyote Pass standoff may be concluded, but its reverberations linger, reminding us that endings are rarely simple, and that the path to understanding, healing, and connection is often as complex as the relationships that define our lives. In the quiet that follows, one truth remains clear. The Browns, like all families, continue to navigate the delicate balance between love and discord, hope and disappointment, the past and the future. The story of Coyote Pass is a story of life itself, a testament to the human heart's capacity to endure, reflect, and ultimately move forward. Even as the sun disappears behind the horizon and the dust settles over Coyote Pass, the story of the Brown family is far from complete. What has unfolded in this episode, the standoff, the deed dispute, the emotional reckonings, is only a single chapter in an ongoing saga of relationships, secrets, and personal growth. While the land may soon change hands and the immediate tension may ease, the consequences of today's events will ripple through the family for months, perhaps years to come. For Janelle, the journey toward closure is just beginning. While she has asserted her boundaries and walked away from the immediate conflict with dignity, the emotional impact of decades spent navigating a complex family structure cannot be undone in a single day. The decisions she has made and the firm stance she has taken will influence not only her relationship with Kody, but also her connection to her children and her place within the larger family network. The questions of trust, reconciliation, and personal identity that emerged at Coyote Pass are not easily answered, and viewers can expect that future episodes will continue to explore how she navigates these challenges. Meri's path forward is similarly layered. She has secured recognition of her stake and asserted her voice within a family that has not always given her space to be heard. Yet the process of emotional healing is ongoing, and the intersections of family loyalty, past disappointment, and personal autonomy will continue to shape her decisions. For Meri, the standoff is both a conclusion and an opening, a chance to redefine her role in the family, while also maintaining the boundaries that protect her sense of self. What she chooses next, both in terms of relationship with Kody and her engagement with the family at large, promises to be both thoughtful and impactful. Robyn, as ever, remains focused on her children and their future. Her spiritual search and determination to guide her daughters with care and intentionality will likely continue to play a central role in upcoming episodes. The standoff has highlighted her ability to balance multiple responsibilities, navigating complex family dynamics, advocating for her children, and pursuing her own sense of spiritual and emotional fulfillment. How she continues to reconcile these elements, and the strategies she employs to maintain stability amidst ongoing family challenges, will be a key narrative thread moving forward. And Kody himself faces a crucial moment of self-reflection and action. His expressed desire for healing, while evident in today's standoff, must now translate into sustained efforts if any meaningful reconciliation is to occur. The Browns' family history is long, layered, and public, and the weight of expectations, both internal and external, will continue to challenge him. Choices Kody makes in the coming months will determine not only his relationships with his wives and children, but also the legacy he leaves for this family. A legacy that balances love, responsibility, and the reality of imperfect human connection. As the cameras turn away from Coyote Pass and the day draws to a close, viewers are left with questions as compelling as they are complex. Will boundaries continue to be respected? Can trust, once fractured, be rebuilt? How will the Browns navigate the fallout of decisions made today, both emotionally and practically? The answers to these questions remain unknown, but they form the heartbeat of the narrative moving forward. Each choice, each conversation, and each moment of reflection will shape the trajectory of a family whose story continues to captivate audiences around the world. The symbolic power of Coyote Pass extends beyond the immediate events of this episode. Serves as a reminder that endings are rarely final, and that closure, while essential, is just one part of a larger continuum of growth and transformation. The land itself, though now silent, stands as a witness to the evolving journey of the Browns, a testament to the enduring complexity of human relationships, the challenges of communication, and the resilience required to navigate love, loss, and family in all its forms. As viewers, we are invited to watch closely, to consider the lessons learned and the challenges yet to come. The Browns' journey is not linear, and it will continue to unfold with unpredictability, emotional depth, and the occasional moment of unexpected insight. Each episode builds upon the last, layering history, conflict, and hope into a narrative that is as real and raw as life itself. The story of Coyote Pass reminds us that even when resolutions appear to be in place, the human heart remains a landscape of possibility, tension, and the perpetual search for understanding. In the episodes to come, audiences can anticipate more revelations, more emotional reckonings, and moments that challenge both relationships and personal convictions. The Browns' lives, while public, offer a mirror into universal truths: the need for boundaries, the power of forgiveness, the importance of communication, and the enduring quest for connection. And while the standoff at Coyote Pass may have concluded, the echoes of today's choices will continue to reverberate, shaping not only the family's future but also the lessons we can all draw from their story. The journey is far from over, and as the sun sets on Coyote Pass, one truth remains clear: the Browns, like all families, are defined not only by conflict and resolution, but by the enduring pursuit of understanding, healing, and the hope that the bonds of family, however tested, can be strengthened for the road ahead. As night fully descends upon Coyote Pass, a quiet stillness envelopes the land, offering a moment for reflection on the day's events and the complex tapestry of emotions that have unfolded. The standoff, the disputes, and the subtle confrontations are now behind the Browns, yet the emotional echoes linger. This episode serves as a stark reminder that family, even when bound by love, is rarely simple. It is a network of interwoven experiences, histories, and expectations, each layer contributing to both tension and connection. For Janelle, the day at Coyote Pass represents more than property or legal matters. It is a testament to her resilience and her ability to assert herself in a family structure that has often challenged her autonomy. Walking away with dignity, she has sent a message not only to her co-wives and Kody but to herself: that boundaries, once established, must be respected, and that personal validation cannot be given solely by others. Her journey underscores the emotional labor inherent in negotiating love, loyalty, and fairness, highlighting the strength required to maintain self-respect in the midst of complex relationships. Meri's reflections, though quieter, carry equal weight. She leaves the property with a reinforced sense of her own voice and the recognition of her rightful place within the family. The day's events have affirmed that asserting oneself, even in a setting fraught with tension and history, is essential to emotional survival. Meri's careful navigation of the deed dispute demonstrates the delicate balance between patience and persistence, illustrating the nuanced ways in which trust, fairness, and respect intersect within long-standing familial structures. Robyn, meanwhile, departs Coyote Pass with her attention focused on her children and their spiritual and emotional development. Her experiences throughout the standoff reveal a layered understanding of family responsibility, the need to balance personal needs with the broader welfare of those under her care. Robyn's spiritual search, coupled with her proactive steps to protect her children, reminds viewers that even amid chaos and conflict, intentionality and foresight can guide decisions that resonate far beyond immediate circumstances. Kody's final reflections are perhaps the most revealing. As the patriarch, he carries both the weight of responsibility and the burden of accountability. The standoff has brought into sharp focus the consequences of past decisions, the fragility of trust, and the essential need for reconciliation. Kody's desire for healing, while genuine, is tempered by the realization that mending fractured relationships requires time, consistency, and sincere acknowledgement of past grievances. His journey at Coyote Pass illustrates the complexities of leadership within a family, where love, authority, and responsibility are constantly interwoven with human imperfection. Taken together, the events of this episode highlight the emotional and symbolic resonance of Coyote Pass. The land, once a dream of unity and shared purpose, has become a canvas upon which the Browns' struggles, victories, and vulnerabilities are vividly painted. Each interaction, negotiation, and subtle gesture carries layers of meaning, reflecting decades of shared history, moments of trust and betrayal, and the ongoing negotiation of identity, power, and connection within a unique family structure. The lessons from this episode extend far beyond the confines of one property or one family. They speak to universal truths about human relationships, the importance of setting and respecting boundaries, the courage required to assert oneself, the challenges of forgiveness, and the enduring need for communication and understanding. They remind viewers that reconciliation is rarely immediate, that trust is fragile, and that growth often comes through reflection, patience, and intentional action. As the night settles, there is also a sense of possibility. While the standoff has ended and the property will eventually change hands, the emotional work continues. The Browns, like all families, will continue to navigate the delicate balance of love, disappointment, loyalty, and self-preservation. Today's events have offered lessons in dignity, integrity, and emotional resilience, lessons that will guide them in the episodes to come and in the broader journey of life. Ultimately, the Coyote Pass standoff is a reminder of the power of reflection and perspective. It is an acknowledgement that endings are rarely absolute, and that even in the midst of conflict, there is space for understanding, growth, and emotional restoration. The Browns leave the land physically, but the echoes of today's choices remain, in memories, in relationships, and in the personal evolution of each individual. In this way, Coyote Pass becomes more than a location. It is a symbol of transformation, a stage for emotional reckoning, and a testament to the enduring complexity and beauty of family life. As viewers, we are left with a profound understanding. The story of the Browns is not just about drama or property disputes, but about resilience, growth, and the human capacity to navigate even the most challenging emotional landscapes. The Coyote Pass standoff may have concluded, but its lessons linger, a reminder that family, love, and personal integrity are continuous journeys, shaped as much by endings as by new beginnings.